Hey guys, tonight we embark on a rather unconventional journey. You wake up in the middle of a thick, humming jungle. Your back aches. Your clothes? Basically prehistoric pajamas, tattered, itchy, and possibly made of squirrel. A faint breeze carries the scent of wet moss, smoke, and something that smells suspiciously like mammoth breath. Oh, and there's mud on your face. Naturally. You don't remember how you got here, but you know one thing. You're a ninja. Or at least, you were. Somewhere between last night's soy ramen and today's terrifying reality, the timeline did a somersault and dropped you smack into the Stone Age. The bad news? Stealth isn't so useful when your stomach is louder than your footsteps. The good news? Everyone else smells just as awful as you do. Honestly, you probably won't survive. But hey, at least you'll look mysterious while failing. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what time it is. I'm genuinely curious. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're lying in what appears to be a shallow bed of leaves. The sky above is painted with early morning mist, and birds you've never seen before are making noises that honestly sound more like gossip than song. You sit up slowly. Every joint in your body complains. There's no phone, no weapons, not even a granola bar. You check your surroundings. To your left, thick underbrush and a giant tree with bark peeling like sunburn. To your right, the imprint of your body in the mud and some footprints leading away, barefoot, human-like, and very recent. Your ninja instincts kick in. You crouch, or at least attempt to. Your thighs are not prepared for squats at this hour. But you manage to stay low and shuffle toward a cluster of floatstones ahead. The earth is still damp. Something, or someone, was definitely here before you. Maybe they left breakfast? You poke around and find absolutely nothing of value. A twig, a shell, some bones. Not yours, thankfully. You sigh. Your stomach growls loudly. The moment of peace breaks when a sharp rustle explodes from the bushes nearby. You freeze. Out of instinct, you drop flat into the mud, ninja style, which turns out to be less graceful and more of a muddy belly flop. A shape emerges, low, quick, and very smelly. It's a creature. 4 legs, yellow eyes, tufts of fur, like it's perpetually having a bad hair day. You lock eyes. It's a pack of prehistoric hyenas. Cool. So breakfast is canceled. Your brain starts reviewing every ninja stealth move you remember. Smoke bombs? Not invented yet. Tree jumps? You glance up. The branches are laughably out of reach. Distraction? No coins to toss. So you go for plan D. Don't move. A. Muscle. The hyenas sniff the air. One snorts, another begins to circle. You hold your breath. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you recall a documentary voice. The prehistoric hyena hunted in packs and could crush bones with ease. It also had no sense of humor. Helpful. Just as one hyena leans closer, a breeze shifts. The scent from the mud pit behind you, thick with fermented leaves and something unspeakable, hits their noses. They wrinkle their snouts. One sneezes, another growls, and they back away. Apparently, your camouflage is working. And by camouflage, we mean you smell like expired mammoth. The pack loses interest. They disappear back into the brush, tails flicking. You stay frozen for a full 5 minutes just in case. Then you exhale slowly and start to crawl backward toward what looks like a large boulder. You lean your head against the cool rock and laugh, quietly, nervously, like someone who just outran danger without moving a toe. That's when you see it, a pattern on the stone. Faint etchings, not natural, not random. Some people have been here, and not just recently. You recognize something etched into the rock, a crude symbol of a figure holding 2 sticks, posed in a stance that looks vaguely ninja-like. You're not the first. As you trace the symbol with your finger, the moss peels away to reveal a set of even smaller marks. Tiny handprints, like a message, a challenge. Your stomach interrupts again. Loudly, the birds pause their gossip. Right. Time to move. Food is priority number 1. You rise, slowly, like an elderly yoga instructor, and begin moving cautiously into the forest. You think about your options. Hunting? You barely survived breakfast. Fishing? With what? Conversation? Not likely. As you duck beneath a hanging vine, your foot brushes against a patch of berries. Bright red, suspiciously plump, definitely poisonous looking. You take one, smell it, then immediately put it back like a good little survivalist. A few more paces, and you spot smoke. Not the wild, accidental kind, but a thin, consistent wisp. Controlled, intentional. You narrow your eyes. A fire means people. People mean food or danger, possibly both. But at this point, your stomach is ready to negotiate. You move toward the smoke, staying low. Your ninja instincts are rusty but intact. A branch creaks. You stop. The wind blows. You move. You reach a clearing. There's a small campfire in the center, and beside it, a long stick. Skewered on that stick, something sizzling. Smells like fish. Smells like hope. You grin. Your first mission as a ninja in the Stone Age? Successfully sneak some breakfast, or die trying. You clutch the grilled fish in your hands, still warm, its crispy skin glistening with tiny droplets of fat. Honestly, it's the best thing you've held since your smartphone. You take a bite. Oh my stars. How can something so simple? No salt, no spices, no fancy lemon drizzle. Tastes like absolute heaven. The meat flakes apart, tender and smoky, and melts on your tongue like the universe is apologizing for all the recent trauma. Across the fire, the man watches you with a bemused expression. His beard is thick and wild, braided with what looks suspiciously like vines. His hair is pulled up into a tight knot, and his shoulders are broad from a lifetime of probably throwing people and/or boulders. But his eyes are smiling. You eat like you've never seen food, he says, chewing lazily on his own stick of fish. You nod mid-bite, unable to answer. Truthfully, this might be the most delicious meal you've ever had, and you once paid $45 just for a small plate of artisan air-dried sardine medallions in downtown Tokyo. The man tosses a fishbone into the fire. You're lucky it was me who found you. Some folks out here don't ask questions before throwing spears. You stop chewing. Swallow. Thanks, you say, your voice hoarse, like someone who's been screaming silently for hours. He chuckles. Name's Loro. You? You hesitate. Just call me Shadow. Loro raises an eyebrow. Shadow. Right, let me guess. You're a silent warrior from a distant tribe, trained in the ancient art of hiding behind leaves. You cough. Something like that. Well, Shadow, let me offer you some advice, he says, leaning forward and poking the fire with a stick. Rule number 1 of staying alive out here: don't smell like dinner. You frown. He gestures to your mud-streaked body. That gunk saved your life earlier. Those hyenas hate fermented swamp. But once the stink fades, you're just another snack. Noted, you say, casually, trying to reapply a bit of the dried gunk onto your arm, like it's prehistoric sunscreen. Second rule, he continues, always walk against the wind. It carries your scent ahead of you. You nod, absorbing every word like it's sacred text. Who knew being a ninja would require smell management? And third, he says, lowering his voice, never trust a silent tree. You blink. A silent tree? He leans in. If you see a tree that doesn't rustle, doesn't creak, doesn't do anything, even with the wind, it's not a tree. You stare. It's usually a hunter, covered in bark, waiting. You glance nervously at the trees around the clearing. Relax, he chuckles. You're safe, for now. Suddenly, you remember the etchings on the stone back where you woke up. The strange ninja-like figure, the tiny handprints. You decide to ask. Loro, that rock out there with the markings, do you know who made them? His smile fades slightly. He leans back, chewing thoughtfully on a piece of bark, like it's gum, but with splinters. Yeah, I know the rock, he says finally. Old place. We call it the Whispering Stone. You lean forward, intrigued. Legend says it marks the arrival of travelers who don't belong here, people who fall through cracks in time, dreamers, walkers. Like me? You ask. He eyes you for a long second. Maybe. Do they survive? He pauses. Some. You shiver, not from cold, but from the weight of the answer. Then he stands. Come on, Shadow, let's get you cleaned up. You look like something a mammoth sneezed on. You follow him through the underbrush, ducking beneath low-hanging vines and stepping over roots the size of small logs. The forest is dense, but Loro moves through it with the ease of someone who's part animal, part GPS. As you walk, you ask, do you live out here alone? He shrugs. Not alone. I've got friends. Human? He grins. Mostly. The trees begin to thin, and soon you reach a small pool of water, clear and shimmering, surrounded by rocks shaped like sleeping giants. Dragonflies flit across the surface. A bird calls in the distance, 3 short chirps, like it's laughing at you. You kneel by the water and splash your face, scrubbing off layers of mud and prehistoric essence. It stings a little, but the coolness is blissful. You glance at your reflection. You look like a sunburned burrito wrapped in anxiety. Behind you, Loro tosses you something. Here, try this. It's a lump of dark green paste. Smells like crushed leaves and maybe toad. What is it? Bug repellent. Also masks your scent. Made from 10 different plants, one toad footprint, and something I found stuck to a tree last week. You grimace, but rub it onto your arms anyway. It's either this or become hyena brunch. As the sun begins to set, casting golden shafts through the trees, Loro looks at you and says, "If you really are a ninja, tomorrow you train." You gulp. Train for what? For staying alive, he says, turning to head back to camp. And maybe finding your way home. You follow him, the air cooling, shadows lengthening. Somewhere behind you, a tree doesn't rustle. You try not to notice. The night hums with strange energy, buzzing insects, distant howls, and the occasional drip of something unknown from the trees. You lie on a woven mat, made of reeds and regret, trying not to think about how many eyes might be watching from the darkness. Loro snores nearby like a gentle thunderstorm. Apparently, he sleeps with one eye open and one hand on a rock he claims is named Thumper. You're not sure if Thumper is for protection or emotional support, but you don't ask. You try to sleep, but your brain is spinning. You're a ninja, kind of, trapped in the prehistoric past. You've survived hyenas, eaten fish grilled over an open fire, and smeared yourself with moss paste that smells like expired pesto. And tomorrow, training, whatever that means. At some point, sleep takes you, and morning, rude as ever, shows up with a slap of golden light through the trees. Up, Loro grunts, nudging you with the non-lethal end of a stick. Time to become less squishy. You groan. Can't I just meditate and disappear? Sure, he says, but try not to disappear into the digestive system of a giant lizard. You stumble to your feet and follow him to a clearing surrounded by rocks. Loro picks up a stick, about the length of your arm, and tosses it to you. Weapon? Balance, he replies. If you can carry it, without looking like a scared chicken, we'll talk weapons later. You take a stance. Well, a stance. It's unclear if it's martial arts or mild arthritis. But you try, Loro. Loro watches with a blank face, then circles you like a curious bear. Right foot wider, shoulders down, eyes forward. You're not a squirrel, you're a shadow. You adjust, somewhat. Good, he nods. Now hold that for an hour. You laugh. He doesn't. You hold. Minutes crawl by like injured caterpillars. Your legs tremble, your arms ache. Your brain replays motivational quotes in your head. Pain is temporary. Survival is forever. You are the stick. Then Loro starts throwing things at you. Pebbles, twigs, one angry beetle. Why are you, doing this? Distraction, he shrugs. The forest doesn't wait for you to find your zen. It throws squirrels at your head while you're trying to pee. You grit your teeth and stay still. Finally, mercifully, he lowers his hand. Break, he says. Sort of. Follow me. You limp after him to another part of the forest, this time near a stream. He picks up a flat stone and skips it across the water. 1, 2, 3, plunk. Your turn, he says. You blink. Skipping rocks is ninja training? No, he says. This is lunch break. Also, I just like skipping rocks. You grin and pick one up. Yours sinks instantly. Loro nods approvingly. Good, now you've learned humility. You sit by the stream and let your feet soak in the cold water. For a moment, It almost feels peaceful, quiet, safe. Then Loro says something that ruins it. Tomorrow we go further, where the forest gets, strange. You glance at him. Strange how? He leans back on his elbows. You'll see. Trees whisper. Rocks move. People vanish. You pause. People vanish? He nods slowly. There are places time gets confused. People walk in and never come out, or come out much, much later, with new eyes. New eyes? He shrugs. Figure of speech, I think. The silence stretches. You speak, carefully. Has anyone ever found a way back? He doesn't answer right away. Then, there are stories of travelers who slip through cracks in time. Some find their way. Others become part of the forest. Ghosts with muddy feet. Your eyes widen. Relax, he says. You've got me, and Thumper. He pats the rock beside him. You've never felt more comforted by a piece of stone. Then, with a twinkle in his eye, he asks, "Want to know the real reason I started helping you?" You raise an eyebrow. "I once met another like you," he says. She wore strange clothes, spoke in riddles, told me she came from a place where fire came from the walls and food came in boxes. You sit up. What happened to her? She left, he says, simply. Left behind a map and a very good pair of shoes. Your heart skips. A map? Do you still have it? I buried it, he says, under a silent tree. You swallow. The kind that doesn't rustle? He grins. Exactly. Of course. You lie back and stare at the sky, which now looks slightly more mysterious than before. If someone else made it here, maybe you're not as lost as you thought. Get some rest, Loro says, standing. Tomorrow, we start learning how not to be seen. You close your eyes, letting the sound of the stream lull you. Somewhere in the distance, a bird calls again. 3 short chirps. It still sounds like it's laughing at you. The morning doesn't wait for you to be ready. It just arrives, loud, bright, and smelling like wet bark and ambition. Loro wakes you by tossing a pine cone at your head. A firm but respectful pine cone. Up, he says. The shadows won't learn themselves. You roll off your mat, bones popping like old floorboards. You feel like a mix between a soggy croissant and a confused yoga instructor. Today's lesson, according to Loro, is stealth. Actual ninja stuff. You're excited until you realize stealth training apparently begins with being buried in leaves. You lie flat in a small clearing while Loro dumps a pile of dry foliage on top of you. This feels unnecessary, you mumble through a leaf. Exactly, he whispers. If you feel ridiculous, you're probably doing it right. He then vanishes, not dramatically, not with smoke or a flip. He simply isn't there anymore. You lie still. Then the bugs arrive. First, a tickle near your ear, then something cold on your ankle, then a buzzing sound so close to your nostril it could apply for dual citizenship. But you stay still. Ninja, stealth, no sneezing. 10 minutes pass, then 20, then suddenly a soft voice near your foot. A rabbit just walked past you. You jerk up. Wait, really? Loro shrugs from the shadows. Not anymore. You brush off the leaves, scratching places you didn't know existed, and glare at him. Lesson 2, he says. Silence isn't just about your mouth. It's about your breath, your heartbeat, your thoughts. You try to slow everything down. breathe like moss, think like stone. Then Loro introduces a new test. Follow me. Don't let me hear you. Easy enough. You've seen movies. Ninjas don't make sound. You can do this. You start after him, stepping lightly, avoiding twigs, moving through the underbrush like a cat wearing socks. You're proud, until he says, without turning, you step like a panicked goat. You freeze. How did you hear me? I didn't, he says. I felt you. The wind shifted. You want to cry a little. He leads you deeper into the woods, into a part of the forest that feels older, quieter. Even the birds seem uncertain. The trees are taller, gnarled, their bark covered in strange symbols, some carved, some grown. This is where the forest watches, Loro says softly. You pause. Watches what? Everything, he replies. The air feels thicker here, each breath heavier. You suddenly realize you're sweating, not from heat, but from awareness. Something about this place tugs at your spine. You walk slowly, trying not to disturb the rhythm of the forest. Loro moves ahead, barely rustling a leaf. You follow, copying his steps as best you can. Then you both stop. Ahead is a clearing, perfectly circular, with a single flat stone in the middle. No trees inside the ring, just grass. Too perfect, too silent. The ring of still, Loro whispers. You feel it instantly, like sound itself refuses to enter. Even your breath feels muted. A place where noise goes to die. Step inside, he says. You hesitate, then take one step onto the grass. The silence deepens. No birds, no bugs, not even the whisper of wind. It's like being underwater without the water. You take another step, and another. When you reach the stone, you place your hand on it. It's warm and humming faintly, like a distant vibration deep in the rock. You turn to Loro, wide-eyed. He nods. This is where time folds. What? He walks toward you. The story goes long ago, a traveler fell here, between worlds, and this ring formed around the echo of their arrival. Some say they left behind a message. You glance around. A message? Then you spot it, barely visible. On the far side of the stone are tiny carvings, shapes, lines, and a symbol you recognize, a small swirl with 2 slashes through it. The same symbol from the stone near where you woke up. Your heart skips. You trace it gently. It hums under your fingers. Loro steps back. Time to go. You hesitate. Shouldn't we stay? Stay too long and you'll forget why you came, he warns. Reluctantly, you follow him out of the ring. As soon as you cross the invisible boundary, sound returns. Birds chirp, wind rustles. Your stomach growls like it's been waiting politely. Loro glances back. You felt it, didn't you? You nod. Good, he says. That means you're real. You blink. What do you mean? He just smiles. You make your way back toward the camp, mind still humming with the sensation from the stone. There's something out there, some connection between this place and your past, or your future. As you walk, Loro says casually, tomorrow, You learn how to disappear. You raise an eyebrow. I thought we were already doing that, he chuckles. No, Shadow. So far, we've only been learning how not to be found. You don't ask what the difference is, because suddenly, the forest feels more awake. And maybe, just maybe, it knows your name now. The campfire flickers low, casting long, spindly shadows across the dirt as night descends like a thick curtain. You're seated on a smooth rock, nibbling at a roasted root that tastes suspiciously like burned zucchini with a side of sadness. Loro sits across from you, sharpening what may or may not be a rib bone into a perfectly threatening point. Neither of you speaks for a while. The forest does. Crickets chirp in unsettling rhythms. Something large cracks a branch in the distance. Loro doesn't even look up. Don't worry, he mutters. If it walks on 2 legs, we run. If it walks on 4, we climb. If it slithers, we just apologize and hope for the best. You nod slowly, chewing. Tonight feels different, heavier, like something is about to change. As if reading your thoughts, Loro glances up. You ready to vanish? You blink. Define vanish. He smirks. Become one with everything, invisible, untouchable. You'll still be here, just not in the way people expect. I feel like I've been doing that emotionally since middle school, you say. He grunts in approval. Good, that's a start. You both lie down under the open sky, stars scattered like spilled salt on a dark table. Loro hums a tune, strange, low, and rhythmic, almost like a lullaby for the trees. Sleep comes eventually, wrapped in tension and anticipation. The next morning begins with fog, thick, white, and silent. The world is cotton-wrapped. You can't see 10 feet in front of you. Perfect, Loro mutters, handing you a bundle of cloth. It's damp, smells like herbs and regret, and is roughly the size of a poncho. What's this? Your cloak. You lift it. It's patched together from leaves, fur, moss, and something that feels disturbingly like porcupine. Put it on, he says. Today, you disappear. You don the cloak. It's heavier than it looks and immediately begins to itch in places you thought were unreachable. Still, the moment you pull the hood over your head, something shifts. The forest becomes quieter. Or rather, you become quieter. Loro steps into the fog. Stay 10 steps behind me. Match my rhythm. Breathe when I breathe. Don't think, feel. You nod, trailing after him. The training begins. You walk slowly, barefoot, each footfall placed with surgical precision. Where there are dry leaves, you step over. Where there is mud, you move through silently. Loro makes no sound, and to your amazement, neither do you. The fog works in your favor. You feel less solid, less defined. You are, for lack of a better word, ghosting. Then Loro stops. He points ahead. Through the fog, the figure stands alone, tall, still, covered in vines. You think it's a tree, but something's off. No sound, Loro whispers. No breath. That's not bark, it's armor. You stare. Is it human? No one's sure. Some say they're watchers, beings who walk across time without leaving footprints. That's poetic and terrifying. Loro grins. Most truths are. He gestures for you to move closer. Get within 10 paces. If it doesn't react, you're invisible. You stare at him like he's lost his mind. Go, he urges. You step forward, 1 foot, then another. Your breathing slows. Your mind clears. You stop thinking about being seen. You stop thinking at all. You move like fog. A breeze, a sigh. 6 steps. Still no reaction. 8 steps. 9. You're almost there. The figure twitches. Your heart seizes. But it doesn't turn. It just melts into the fog. Gone, like it was never there. You stumble back, breath caught in your throat. Loro claps you on the shoulder. You passed. You look at him wide-eyed. Was that real? He shrugs. What's real out here? Good question. You walk back toward the camp, and Loro begins humming again. A different tune this time. Calmer. Like a victory song meant for one person. As you walk, you remember something. A debate from your world. A lecture, perhaps. You can almost hear the voice. Historians still debate whether invisibility was literal or metaphorical in ancient ninja practices. Maybe they didn't need cloaks or smoke bombs. Maybe all it took was stillness, intention, belief. That night, as the fog lifts and the stars shine down like secrets, you feel different. Less lost, more dangerous, more ninja. You wake up to something strange. Silence. Not the usual kind. Not the gentle, sleepy hush of morning dew and bird gossip. This silence is heavier, like a blanket pulled too tight. It's the kind of quiet that makes your teeth clench without knowing why. You sit up slowly, expecting to see Loro by the fire, maybe roasting something unfortunate on a stick. But he's gone. No footprints, no humming, no thumper. You glance around. The forest hasn't changed, but it feels different. You stand, stretching cautiously. Every leaf crunch, every twig snap feels louder. You whisper his name once. Loro? No answer. You don your makeshift cloak and move out, slow and quiet, into the woods. The air is unusually cold. The sun, while up, seems reluctant, like it's hiding behind its own light. You step carefully over mossy logs and under twisted branches until you spot something out of place. A pattern. 3 sticks laid in an arrow. You kneel beside them. It's a signal. Loro's. He showed you how to make it yesterday. A sign that means follow with caution. So you follow. And as you do, the air gets colder. The trees taller, the shadows deeper. You begin to notice the absence of birdsong, of insects, of life. Then you see it, a ruin. It's half swallowed by vines, with stones arranged in circles, wide ones, narrow ones, overlapping like a labyrinth. There's a strange energy here, stillness but alert, like the whole place is holding its breath. In the center stands Loro, silent, perfectly still. You call out softly, Loro? He doesn't respond. You step closer, heart thudding in your throat. You wave, nothing. Then you step into the innermost ring of stone. The instant your foot crosses the line, you feel it. A hum beneath your skin. Not sound, vibration. The world around you distorts slightly, like heat rising off pavement. You blink, and for a split second, Loro's shape flickers. Not like a mirage, but like an old video skipping frames. Then he turns. "Ah," he says calmly. "You made it." "Where were you?" you ask. "I thought something happened." "Something did," he says, walking around you slowly. "You passed the threshold." "What threshold?" Loro points to the outermost ring of stone. This ruin marks an old crossing, a place where time folds inward on itself. You've stepped into the memory of the forest. That doesn't make any. You're not in the present, Shadow. Not fully. Not anymore. You freeze. "Are you saying this is the past?" He nods, and then, just as your mind begins to swim, you hear something behind you. A voice. Small, high-pitched, curious. You turn. There's a child standing by the edge of the circle. Hair wild, skin streaked with ash, holding a stick like a spear. She looks at you, head tilted. Then she says in a language you don't know, but somehow understand. "Are you one of the shadows from the stone?" You blink. Maybe?" The child smiles. "You look funny." She darts back behind a pillar and disappears. You whirl to Loro. "Who was that?" He's still circling you, slow and steady. "A child who walked here long ago. Or maybe long from now. It's hard to say. This place shows people from different times. Sometimes," he says, "if they belong here, if they're part of the fold." You shake your head. "How is that even possible?" Loro stops. Historians still argue whether ruins like these were built to measure the stars or to speak with them. You pause. It does feel like the stars are watching. You look up. There's no sky, just white light, like everything is paused. Then suddenly, snap, a branch cracks behind you, loud, sharp, present. You and Loro spin at the same time. A new figure steps into the outer circle. They're tall, cloaked, their face covered in ash. They move with fluid grace, too smooth to be natural. Loro's voice drops low. "Do not move." You stand still. The figure lifts their head. You see no eyes, only a faint glow beneath the hood. They tilt their head at you. You feel seen, not in the usual way, in the cosmic, soul-level, uncomfortable way. Then, just as suddenly as they came, the figure raises a hand, makes a slow, sweeping gesture, like pushing fog, and vanishes into mist. Gone. You're panting, though you didn't move. Loro lets out a breath. "You were marked." "Marked?" you choke out. "Not all who travel through time leave clean," he says. "Sometimes." The forest notices. You sit down hard on the stone floor, heart pounding. What now? He hands you a leaf-wrapped bundle. It smells like clay and smoke. "Now," he says, "we prepare you for the silent climb." You open the bundle. Inside is a corded rope, a few carved wooden tools, and a small piece of chalk. "What's the chalk for?" "In case you forget your name," he says, with zero humor. "Great." You close the bundle and look at the now empty clearing. Your world just tilted sideways. And you're only on the 6th day. You don't sleep that night. You try. You lie down. You close your eyes. You pretend the sounds in the trees are just the wind and not the ghostly footprints of time-traveling shadow beings. But sleep is no longer a reliable friend. Not after being marked. not after watching someone evaporate into fog like a memory being erased. At some point, Loro tosses a twig at your shoulder. Up. You don't argue. Today, he says, you begin the silent climb. You assumed that meant climbing a mountain, or maybe a tall tree. But no, Loro leads you to a canyon. A deep, narrow crack in the earth's crust, with walls lined in moss and mist, and jagged roots like claws holding ancient secrets. The air smells like wet stone and ancient arguments. At the edge of the cliff, Loro stops and gestures downward. You peer over. A vertical descent. No path, no handrails, just sheer rock and occasional ledges no wider than a plate. You glance at him. We're going down? He nods. At the bottom is something old, something hidden. You want answers? You hesitate. He adds, also, there's water down there, and possibly cheese fruit. What's cheese fruit? You'll know by the smell. You tie the rope Loro gave you around your waist and begin lowering yourself. It's not graceful. Your legs wobble. Your foot slips twice. Once you almost eat a moss-covered ledge with your face. Ninja dignity, medium rare. But you descend. 10 feet, then 20. Your fingers burn. Your breath is sharp. The silence deepens. Halfway down, you pause on a ledge to rest, and that's when you hear it. Voices. But not talking, chanting, soft, echoed. A language you can't identify, but feels familiar, like something you once heard in a dream you forgot by breakfast. You look around. No one above, no one below. And yet, the voices continue. Loro calls down from above, voice barely a whisper. They're echoes. From the folds. The folds of time? He nods. Sometimes, places remember sounds. Like grooves on a stone. The deeper you go, the more you'll hear. You nod and keep climbing. The rock grows colder. You pass carvings, symbols, spirals, runes etched by hands long gone. Some glow faintly, others pulse like heartbeats. Finally, you reach the bottom. It opens into a hidden grove. You blink. It's like stepping into a different world. There's a pool of still water, reflecting a warped, slow-moving sky. The trees here are thinner, their bark white, their leaves translucent. You see no animals, but the silence feels alive. Loro drops down beside you with all the effort of a falling feather. He walks straight to a tree at the edge of the pool and pulls back a patch of moss, revealing a smooth slab of obsidian. A mirror, but not a normal one. Because when you look in, you don't see yourself. You see someone else. Wearing your cloak, holding your bundle, standing exactly where you are, but older, eyes sharper, posture stronger. They look at you. You step back. Loro says softly, "Some say the mirror shows who you could become. Others say it shows who you were long ago." You glance again. This time, the figure is gone. The obsidian only shows your reflection now, mud-streaked, nervous, and deeply underqualified for mystical time travel. "What is this place?" you ask. Loro crouches near the pool, a memory vault. He dips a finger in the water. Ripples bloom outward. And then, images begin to shimmer on the surface. You see a storm, fire, a figure running through a forest, another holding a map drawn in chalk, and then you, or someone very much like you, kneeling before a stone, pressing a hand against it. The same swirl symbol as before glowing beneath their palm. "What is this?" you whisper. "A record," Loro says. "The forest remembers. It keeps stories. This one, I think, belongs to you." "But I haven't done those things," you say. "Not yet," he replies. "Time here isn't polite. It loops. It leaves breadcrumbs in reverse." You stare at the pool. The images fade. Then Loro stands and gestures to a narrow path that winds behind the largest tree. "Come, the climb back up is different." You frown. "Different how?" "You'll see." You follow him. The path is winding, strange. Sometimes you feel like you're going up, sometimes sideways. Once, very definitely, downward again. But the light grows brighter with each step. Eventually, you emerge from a different part of the forest entirely. No camp, no ruins, no canyon edge. Just you, Loro, and a single stone sticking out of the dirt like a buried memory. Carved on it, the swirl symbol again. You bend down and see fresh chalk lines beneath it. 3 words in shaky, familiar handwriting. "Don't trust mirrors." You step back. Loro just smiles, cryptic as ever. "Next," he says, "you learn the art of still breathing." Sounds peaceful? He shakes his head. It's not. You sigh. You miss showers. Loro doesn't speak for a long while after that. He just walks, and you follow. The forest seems different now, quieter, but not in the peaceful kind of way. More like it's waiting, listening, like it's caught you whispering secrets about it behind its back. Eventually, you arrive at a grove surrounded by tall, spindly trees. They creak gently, even without wind. The ground is soft underfoot, covered in layers of dried leaves that crunch like secrets. In the center of the grove, a ring of stones, smaller than the ones near the ruins, but smoother, almost polished. Loro motions for you to sit. You do. And immediately, he sits opposite you and says, "Don't breathe." You stare at him. "What? You heard me. I mean, that's not really an option." "You won't stop breathing," he explains. "You'll learn to breathe so quietly, so evenly, that even the forest can't tell you're alive." You blink. "And that's useful because..." Loro raises an eyebrow. "Because when something ancient is searching for you by the sound of your heartbeat, your only defense is to make that heartbeat whisper." "Oh, cool, horrifying." "Close your eyes," he says. You do. Now breathe in, slowly, like a leaf curling in the sun. Hold. Breathe out, slower, like fog leaving a mountain. You try. It's harder than it sounds. Because once you're trying to breathe quietly, every inhale sounds like a vacuum cleaner. Every exhale sounds like you're blowing out birthday candles for a T-Rex. Loro corrects you constantly. Tongue down, ribs soft. You're breathing like a goat about to confess something. It takes time, but eventually, something shifts. You begin to lose awareness of your limbs, of the birds, of Loro. It's not sleep, not meditation. It's stillness. A quiet so complete, it feels like the world has forgotten about you. Then something steps into the clearing. You don't move. You barely breathe. You hear it. A soft, shuffle of feet. 2 of them. Not 4. Not paws. Not hooves. Human? You open your eyes just a crack. A figure in a dark, bark-like robe stands at the edge of the stones. Their face is covered in ash, and they carry something long and thin, a staff, or maybe a weapon. You think back to the watcher you saw before. This one is smaller, slender. They tilt their head. Then they walk the outside of the ring, circling once, twice. You remain motionless, breath thin as fog. On the 3rd lap, they stop. Then, without a word, they place something on the ground just outside the ring. A small bundle wrapped in dark cloth. Then they vanish into the trees. No sound, no warning. You exhale slowly. Loro opens his eyes. Good, you didn't move. That means you're ready. For what? You ask. He stands and walks over to the bundle, unwrapping it slowly. Inside is a piece of parchment, old, crinkled, drawn on it, a map. Not like the ones you've seen before. This one is hand-sketched with landmarks labeled in strange glyphs, but one mark stands out. The swirl symbol, again. But this time, it's connected by lines to other symbols. A path, a journey, and beneath it, in tiny writing, something in your own language. If you reach this place, don't stop walking. You look at Loro. He just nods. Looks like someone from your time has been busy. Is it her, you ask? The other traveler? The one who left the shoes? Maybe, he says. Maybe it's someone else entirely. He hands you the map. Your fingers tingle as you touch it. It feels real, heavy, important. Loro looks around the grove. There's something else you should know. What? This clearing? He says, voice low. It's only visible to people who've already stepped out of time. You and I, we're not exactly synced with the rest of the world anymore. You stare. Meaning, he says. The things that are hunting you now won't be seen by others, and they won't stop. You stare at the ring of stones. Somehow, it feels safer in here, like nothing can cross into this space unless invited. You glance again at the map, at the swirl, at the message. Don't stop walking. Loro packs up. We leave at dusk. Night hides us better now. And besides, some paths only open under moonlight. You nod, rolling up the map and tucking it inside your cloak. As the forest begins to stir again, you feel it, the silence. Not the absence of sound, but the presence of attention. The forest knows you're here, and now, so do the things in it. Night doesn't fall. It slithers. It coils around the trees, slipping between leaves, nestling in every hollow. You move through it like breath on glass. Loro just ahead of you, his cloak blending so well with the darkness, you begin to question if he's real at all or just a very sarcastic hallucination. The map is tucked safely against your chest. You've read it a dozen times now, even though half of it is written in a language that looks like someone sneezed mid-calligraphy. But the path is clear. Head north, follow the broken ridge, and find the stone marked with the swirl. Simple. Except nothing about this world is ever simple. Loro stops suddenly, raising a hand. You halt. He crouches low to the ground and presses his ear to the earth. After a few seconds, he looks up, eyes narrowed. They're moving, he whispers. Who? He doesn't answer right away. Then, the ones who walk without feet. You blink. I'm sorry, what now? They glide, he says. You'll know them by the sound they don't make. You swallow, suddenly aware of how very loud your heartbeat is. You keep walking. The ridge appears like a broken spine through the forest. Jagged stone, barely wide enough for two people. Below it, the forest drops into a shadowy abyss, filled with mist and echoing calls you hope belong to birds. At the midpoint, Loro stops again. He points to a dark shape in the distance, a lone boulder, oddly smooth, with faint carvings that pulse in the moonlight. That's it, he says, the swirl stone. You step toward it. Each step feels harder, not physically, mentally, like the air is thickening, pushing against your will. You reach out and place your hand on the stone, and the world vanishes, just like that. Gone. You're standing in a room, not the forest, a circular stone chamber lit by fireless light. The walls shimmer like water, and you feel untethered. Then you hear it, a voice, soft, familiar, your voice. I knew someone would come. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's me again. I left this here because I remember standing right where you are, confused, scared, and wondering if I was going to die in a world that doesn't know the word Wi-Fi. You look around. No one there. Just your voice, playing from the walls like an echo. I figured it out, mostly. The folds, the paths, how to keep moving. You just have to trust the swirl. It's not a destination, it's a pattern, a rhythm. You step forward. Time doesn't move like we thought. It loops, it listens, it tests, and sometimes it spits you out in a better version of yourself, or a worse one. A pause. Then, if you're still here, then you've made it this far. That means you're close, but don't stop, ever. The moment you stop walking, they find you. The walls flicker, then the voice ends, leaving only the hum of whatever this place is. You turn, and Loro is beside you. Who was that? He asks. I think it was me. He studies you for a long moment, then nods. I've seen this place once, he says, years ago, but it didn't open for me. Why now? He gestures to the swirl on the floor. Because it recognizes you. You're caught in the rhythm. You step to the center. The swirl begins to glow beneath your feet. Then, everything shifts again. You're back at the ridge, the forest, the dark, the night. But the stone is different now. The swirl is gone. In its place, a line, a path, straight ahead, cut into the ground itself. Loro breathes out slowly. Well, that's new. You both follow the path. It glows faintly beneath your feet, each step igniting the next like a breadcrumb trail from a bored wizard. You walk in silence until you reach a small rise. Below it, a village. Not ruins, not a camp. A full living, breathing village. With torches, music, people laughing around fires. You stare in shock. I thought we were alone, you whisper. Loro smiles faintly. You never are. Not really. Are they from here? He shrugs. Some may be like you, travelers. Folds do strange things. You feel a warmth in your chest. Hope. Then something catches your eye. Near one of the fires stands a woman. She's tall. Her cloak is made of woven leaves and fiber. And her shoes, bright red, clearly not made in the forest. She turns, she sees you, and smiles. It's the kind of smile that says, "I've been waiting." You take a step forward, and the torches suddenly flicker. The forest sighs, and something cold brushes past your neck. A whisper. You stopped walking. You whirl around. Nothing there. But Loro's face is pale. "We need to move," he says urgently. "Now." You look back at the village. The woman is gone. So are the fires. Just darkness. And the path behind you? No longer glowing. You run. Not because you want to, but because every part of your body suddenly remembers it can. Loro is ahead of you, silent as ever, his feet barely kissing the ground. You chase his shape through the trees like a shadow, chasing its own dream. The glow beneath your feet has vanished. No more breadcrumb path. Just mud, roots, and the sound of something very wrong, gliding silently behind you. You don't look back, not yet. Because the voice still lingers. You stopped walking. The forest around you seems to fold inward, like it's watching, waiting, maybe even amused. "Loro!" You pant. "What was that?" He doesn't answer. He just darts left, off the trail, straight into a patch of darkness so thick it could have teeth. You follow. Branches slap your arms. The night is thicker here, quieter in the wrong way. Finally, Loro stops. You nearly slam into him. He turns, face grim. They're tracking the paws. You blink. The what? When you stopped, just for a second, the moment you felt safe. That's what they listen for. You think back. The village, the woman's smile, the warmth in your chest, hope. A trap? Loro crouches, pulling a handful of crushed leaves from his pouch and rubbing them on his hands. Then yours. They smell like mint and charcoal. It masks thought, barely. You nod, still catching your breath. So what now? He points behind you. We don't go back. That version of the world, it's already gone. What about the woman with the red shoes? Loro pauses. If she was real, she'll find her way again. If she wasn't, then she already knows too much. You shiver. Come on, he says. We go to higher ground. Let the wind help us disappear. You hike in silence for what feels like hours. The incline is steep, the air getting thinner, sharper. Every sound feels like it might be more than just wind. Then Loro stops again. He gestures toward a tree with bark so dark it looks like a hole in the world. Here, shelter. You squeeze into a hollow beneath its twisted roots. Inside, dry leaves, old carvings, and the faint, lingering smell of smoke and salt. Loro seals the entrance with branches. Then, silence. The kind that presses. Eventually he speaks. There's something you should know. You glance up. That voice. The one you heard by the stone? You nod slowly. I've heard it before. Your chest tightens. When? Years ago. Just once. Same tone. Same words. I thought it was in my head, but now... He trails off. I think we're all pieces of the same path. Echoes of one another. You sit back. It's too much. Time loops. Folding forests. Hunters that track hesitation. You try to breathe, but your breath feels shallow. too loud. "Why me?" you whisper. "Why now?" Loro stares into the dirt. Some say the folds call to those who don't quite belong to their own time. People out of rhythm, drifters, dreamers, runners. You blink. "Maybe you're all three," he adds. You let the silence stretch. Then, "Historians still debate," you murmur, "whether ancient mystics experienced visions or just powerful hallucinations from bad mushrooms." Loro grins faintly. "You'll make a good mystic someday." You lie down, the ground hard beneath you, the tree's roots curled like ribs above your head. You try to sleep, but instead, you dream. Not of your world, but hers, the woman with red shoes. In your dream, she's waiting by a river of glass, drawing swirl after swirl into the dirt. Around her, the forest burns, not with fire, but with time itself, like memory turning to ash. She looks up at you and says only one word: "Run." You wake with a start. Loro's already moving. "We need to go." You rub your eyes. It's still dark. It doesn't matter. The folds are shifting again. You crawl out of the hollow. The world feels blurrier, less real. You walk and walk and walk. The sky begins to lighten, but not with dawn, with color, soft blue, deep green, a hue you can't name but feels like the taste of nostalgia. Then, through the trees, a clearing, and in the middle of it, a single chair, old, wooden, ornate, utterly out of place. It faces nothing. Loro walks up to it, circles it once, then steps back. You approach slowly, carved into the backrest, the swirl, and beneath it, sit only if you know. You freeze. What does that mean? Loro doesn't answer. You look to him, but this time he's already fading. Not disappearing, not dying, just detaching. Like the forest no longer has space for him. "Wait," you cry. He smiles sadly. "I've walked far enough. This is your step." And with that, he's gone. You stare at the chair, the message, the path ahead. You sit. Because maybe, just maybe, you do know. The instant you sit, the forest vanishes. Not slowly, not gently. It's as if reality itself blinks, and you're somewhere else. You're surrounded by white. Not just empty white, alive white. Like fog that breathes. A space with no direction, no sound, no edges. The chair beneath you is gone. There's no ground, yet you're not falling. You're simply hovering. Then, a voice. Not yours, not Loro's. Older, sharper, softer. You've stepped beyond the fold. You spin, but there's no source. The voice comes from everywhere. It is the space. Many arrive here. Few are awake enough to notice. Your throat is dry. Where is here? A threshold. Between paths. Between selves. Helpful. You try to stand, but can't. Not from fear, because there's nothing to stand on. Then the fog ahead begins to ripple. A shape emerges. A figure. They look like you, almost, but older, confident, clothed in a cloak made from bark, stone, and moonlight. Eyes that have seen. Hands calloused from worlds you've never touched. You stare. They smile. "Hello," the figure says. "I remember this moment." Your heart skips. "Are you me?" They tilt their head. A version, one who kept walking, one who never stopped. You want to ask a million things. Where did the path lead? What was the village? Who are the watchers? What happened to Loro? But the figure lifts a hand, silencing you. You don't need answers. You need rhythm. They step closer. Every fold is a beat, a pause, a breath. Most get lost in the silence. You found the thread. You blink. Then what is this place? They gesture around. A test and a memory. Here, time listens more than it speaks. The space ripples again. Behind them now. You see flashes, moments. You in the forest, learning to breathe. You touching the swirl stone. Loro teaching you to vanish. Then, her, the woman with red shoes. She stands at the edge of a cliff, map in hand, looking back, waiting. Then, darkness swallows her. You reach toward the vision. She's real, isn't she? Your older self nods. She left more than shoes. She left doors. You're following her echoes now. Can I find her? Maybe, they say, but that's not your path, not yet. You look down. There's floor now, smooth, reflective, like glass. In it, you see something glowing inside your own chest. The swirl, faint but pulsing. You carry it now, they say. The pattern, the choice. The fog begins to recede. You feel gravity again. Sound, air. You're sending me back, you realize. The older you nods. Back, but forward. The thread continues. You take a breath. The final question tumbles out. Do I make it? They smile. You already did. You blink, and the world returns. The forest, the air, the chair, now broken, mossy, old, as if no one sat in it for 100 years. You're standing, though you don't remember standing. The swirl is gone from the backrest. In its place, a symbol you don't recognize. A new one. Yours? You turn, and the forest welcomes you. It doesn't whisper anymore. It waits. The path ahead is narrow, winding through trees that feel familiar, like friends in disguise. You take a step, then another. The rhythm returns. Step, breath, listen, step, and behind you, though you don't dare look, you feel it. Someone's following your trail. Someone lost. Someone who just needs a sign to keep walking. You smile and leave the path just a little more visible behind you. The forest no longer feels like a place you're passing through. It feels like it's walking with you. Each step falls into a rhythm you didn't know you knew. The wind no longer resists. It glides past your cloak like a whisper of encouragement. The trees don't watch you anymore. They nod. You don't speak. You don't need to. For the first time since this began, you're not trying to survive. You're moving. Ahead, the path splits in two. One side dips into shadow, where trees grow thick and twisted. The other winds toward a hill glowing with soft, silvery light, moonlit grass, and tall white flowers that sway like they're humming. You pause. Then you hear it. Footsteps. Behind you. Slow. Careful. Not quite human. You grip your cloak tighter and step forward, up the hill, toward the light. The forest parts like breath held too long. At the top, A stone platform, ancient, worn, cracked by time and moss, but centered, purposeful. On it is a circle of smooth black stones arranged in the familiar swirl. And in the middle, a book, bound in something leathery, laced with woven fibers, the cover scratched with symbols old and new. You step closer. It opens on its own. Pages flip like wind-guided whispers, settling on one marked with charcoal ink and pressed leaves. You read, and your breath catches. It's your handwriting, but older, surer. You wrote this, or will write this. The words are simple. To the one who stopped walking, this is your map back to motion. You turn the page. It's blank. Then slowly, ink begins to bloom across it. Fresh, wet. Words appear, line by line. A message. She made it to the river. Follow the light that doesn't flicker. And when you see your own face, don't trust it too quickly. You whisper the words aloud. A breeze stirs the grass. Behind you, something changes. You turn. The forest below is different now, lit. Tiny pinpricks of golden glow hover in the air. Fireflies, maybe, but they float in unnatural patterns. Spiral lines, circles, moving like dancers or memories trying to get your attention. You step off the platform and follow. The fireflies lead you into a grove that smells of wild mint and wet stone. At its center is a pool, still, shallow, with silver leaves floating on the surface. You kneel beside it. It reflects nothing. Not you, not the sky, just light. Then it ripples. You lean in closer, and the water shows you a face. Not yours, hers. The woman with the red shoes. She's older now. Her face is tired but bright. She's in a cave somewhere, drawing on the walls. The same swirl, the same glyphs. She pauses, looks up, right at you. You jerk back, heart pounding. She saw you. You're sure of it. The pool goes still, but something remains. A single red leaf floats to the edge of the water. You pick it up. Carved into it, faintly, as if with a fingernail, left. You don't ask what it means. You just move. Back into the woods, following the invisible trail of symbols, sensations, and gut instinct that now feels older than your bones. The night grows warmer. The path curves left. And then you see it. A door. Not a metaphorical one. Not a fold or a shimmer. A literal wooden door. Standing alone. In the middle of a grove. Covered in moss. Framed by nothing. Glowing faintly from beneath the cracks. You step closer. On the door, another swirl. But this time, it's split down the middle. Two halves. Twisting in opposite directions. You raise a hand and stop, because on the ground in front of the door is a mirror, small, circular, propped against a stone, and in the reflection, you don't see the door. You see yourself. Only, not quite. The other you is wearing the cloak differently, holding the book in the wrong hand. The swirl is spinning backward on their chest. They smile and whisper something. You can't hear it. You crouch to listen. But the reflection fades before the words reach your ears. You stare at the door. then back at the spot where your reflection stood. What did they say? What didn't they say? You don't know. But the fireflies gather again. This time, they swirl around the door, like they're daring you. You press your palm to the wood. It's warm. It remembers, and it creaks open. The door swings open not with a creak, but with a sigh, like it's been waiting a very long time to breathe again. You step through. There's no threshold, no shift in temperature, no dramatic swirl of colors. You're just somewhere else. A room, circular, endless, made of walls that move like smoke. They pulse gently like lungs exhaling. It feels like you're standing inside a thought. At the center, a table, round, carved from a single slab of black stone. Laid out on it, objects, small, familiar, wrong. Your toothbrush, your apartment keys, a wrinkled receipt from a sandwich shop you barely remember, a childhood photo, a cracked watch. You stare. How? The air answers. Time doesn't keep. It collects. You turn slowly. Across the room stands a figure. Familiar. Wrong. Right. It's you again. But not the version from the white space. Not confident. Not calm. This version looks tired. Frayed at the edges. Their cloak is scorched. One hand trembles. The swirl on their chest is faint. You don't speak. They do. You've made it too far. You blink. Excuse me? You weren't supposed to sit in the chair. You glance back. The door is gone. You face them. Who are you? The one who stopped walking. The words hit you like cold water. I didn't mean to. Didn't you? They whisper. The village, the fire, her smile. You hesitated. You take a step forward, but I kept going. You started again. That's not the same. You clench your jaw. So what now? Another test? They smile sadly. Not a test, a choice. They step aside. Behind them, another door. This one is metal, smooth, gleaming. It hums with power. Through there, they say, is a way out. Not a path, not a fold, a true exit. You stare. And what's the price? They shrug. You forget everything. Start fresh, back in your time. No forests, no symbols, no her. Your heart aches at the thought. So I just wake up? As if this never happened? Exactly. Isn't that what you wanted once? You look down at the table, the keys, the photo, the crumbs of your before, and then at the cloak you wear now, the swirl pulsing steadily at your chest. You shake your head. No, that's not who I am anymore. The tired you nods slowly, then turns and gestures. Another path reveals itself behind the stone table. Dark, twisting, overgrown with ivy that glows faintly. Then you keep walking. You step toward it, but hesitate. Why did you stop? You ask. They don't answer right away. Then, softly, because I thought I had enough. They look at you, truly look at you, for the first time. But you're not me anymore. You nod. No, I'm not. You leave them there, in the room of fragments and memory, and walk toward the ivy-covered path. With each step, the room fades, and the forest returns. Only this time, it's quiet. respectfully quiet, not watching, not waiting, just welcoming. The path narrows, the ivy glows stronger. You begin to see signs again, familiar swirls, symbols etched into bark, rocks arranged like arrows. She's been here, and she wants you to follow. You break into a run, not from fear, from recognition. And just as the light ahead bursts open into a clearing, you stop. She's there, standing beside a fire, hair tied back, the red shoes worn thin. She turns, smiles. You took your time. You want to laugh, cry, collapse. Instead, you walk forward, sit across from her by the fire. Neither of you speaks for a long time. Then she says, "They're still behind us." You nod. "I know." She reaches into her satchel and pulls out a second map, drawn over yours, with new marks, new paths. You look at her. Where does it go? She meets your eyes. Forward. The fire crackles gently between you, casting dancing shadows across her face. She doesn't look like a myth anymore, not some echo in the water or a ghost in red shoes. She looks real, tired, sharp-eyed, focused, like someone who's had to walk too far with no guarantee of a destination. She hands you the map. It's covered in overlapping lines, paths marked by swirls, crossroads labeled with symbols you only half recognize. There's a looping path that leads to something circled twice in bold red ink. You point to it. What's this? She exhales slowly. The Nexus. You raise an eyebrow. She explains. It's the oldest fold. The first one, they think. A place where all versions of time meet. Past, future, imagined. If there's a way out, or a way through, it's there. And if there's not, then it's the end. The fire pops softly between you. You stare at the lines. So, you say, we just follow the map? She shakes her head. No, the map follows us. You don't ask what that means. You're getting used to this kind of answer. She tosses something across the fire. You catch it. A small stone with a swirl etched in its center. But this one has a line running through it. Keep that, she says. If the path folds again, press it to your chest. It'll hum if you're walking in the wrong direction. Neat. Magical GPS. Kind of. Except instead of rerouting, you just vanish from existence. You try to laugh. You don't. She stands. We leave at twilight. You glance up. The sky is already bleeding gold at the edges. Twilight is close. She packs quickly, efficiently. You do the same. There's an unspoken coordination between you now, like you've done this before in another life, or maybe will in the next. As the fire fades, the forest seems to part again. The trail ahead is narrow, dark, but strangely inviting. You walk together. She speaks first. You remember the chair? You nod. I sat in one too, she says, a long time ago. And what did you see? She's quiet for a beat. Then, myself, but smaller, not in size, in purpose. I was stuck, afraid of leaving behind who I thought I was. You walk in silence for a few steps. I almost didn't move, she says. Almost. You nod again. Me too. The sky above shifts from gold to a deep velvet blue. Stars blink into existence, brighter than they ever were back home. You pass through a grove of trees that glow faintly at their roots. like each one is breathing in light from the ground. Then, movement ahead, fast, sharp. She raises a hand. You freeze. From the shadows, a figure, tall, robed, head covered. Not like the watchers you've seen before. This one feels different, slower, more curious. They don't approach. They just stand, watching. You whisper, "Is that one of them?" She nods. "But not a hunter," you frown. "Then what?" She steps forward. The figure doesn't move. "I call them the witness," she says quietly. "They appear at decision points. Are we at one now?" She doesn't answer. Instead, she kneels and draws a line in the dirt, a path. Then she draws a second one, crossing it. "Two roads," she says. "One leads to the nexus, the other folds back." "How do we know which is which?" She shrugs. "We don't." You glance at the witness, still unmoving, still silent. You speak directly to it. "If you know something, now would be a great time to share." Nothing. She picks up a stick and breaks it in half. "Left or right, okay?" she asks. "Left," you say. "Why?" "Because the last time I went left, I found a door." She smiles. "Then left it is." You follow her off the trail, into the dark. The trees close in again. Your shoulders brush branches. Your legs ache. But you keep moving. You both do. You reach a ridge, and beyond it, down in the valley below, you see it. A glowing spiral. Carved into the earth itself, hundreds of feet wide. At the center, a dark tower. It hums. You both stop. "The nexus," she says. You whisper, "It's real." Then you notice something else. Surrounding the spiral, shapes. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. Not moving, not watching, waiting. You shudder. "Are those people?" she says softly. "Like us, or were." You grip the swirl stone tighter. It pulses in your hand, a warning. "Too late to turn back now," she says. You nod, and together, you descend into the spiral, toward the tower, toward the fold's beginning, and maybe its end. The descent into the spiral is not steep, but it's disorienting. Every curve draws you deeper. Every step forward makes the sky above feel a little less real. The air buzzes faintly, like standing too close to old electricity. The ground beneath your feet isn't just dirt, it's carved stone, etched with a language that feels like it remembers walking more than you do. The woman walks ahead of you, cloak drawn close, steps steady. You've stopped asking questions. Not because you found all the answers, but because the questions themselves have started to echo, looping back before they reach your lips. You pass the silent figures, dozens of them, standing motionless just off the spiral path. Men, women, children, some dressed like you, others in skins, armor, scraps of memory. Their eyes are open. Their chests rise and fall. But they don't see. They're paused, she says, softly, caught mid-fold. They stopped long enough for time to forget them. You walk faster. The tower grows larger with each curve. It hums, not in a sound you can hear, but in your ribs. A deep, droning vibration, like the earth is singing a lullaby to itself. You reach the center. There is no door, just an opening, oval-shaped, like the eye of something dreaming. You both step inside. Immediately, the noise disappears. No birds, no wind, no vibration, just silence. And stairs, a spiral staircase, carved directly into the black stone. Narrow, worn. The woman doesn't hesitate. She climbs. You follow. Each step is heavier than the last. Not with effort, but with knowing. You're close now. Not just to the center of the spiral, but to the center of yourself. You pass windows, but they don't look outside. They look inward. Each one shows a flickering image. Moments you recognize. Moments you forgot. A memory of sitting on your bedroom floor at 12 years old, drawing swirls into your notebook. A bus ride where you swore someone across from you knew who you were. A dream of falling into stars. She pauses at one. I remember this, she says. It's her, alone, sitting by a fire, staring at a map with no lines. I almost gave up here, she murmurs. You want to say something, but instead you walk with her. You reach the top, a final room, round, windowless, walls covered in swirling etchings. At the center, a table. On it, a bowl of water. Still, silver, silent. She steps aside. This is your fold, she says. Only one of us can pass. You shake your head. No, I didn't come here alone. She smiles gently. Neither did I. But it doesn't work like that. You approach the bowl. The water glows faintly. You see a reflection. It's not your face. It's every version of you. Layered, shifting, smiling, crying, running, sleeping, laughing, all flickering into one. Then the water calms. Only you remain. But different, calm, balanced, whole. The woman places her hand on your shoulder. When you touch it, she says, you'll walk into what's next. A new thread. Maybe your time, maybe another. You'll lose this forest, these memories. But not the rhythm, not what you've become. You stare at the water. And you? She shrugs. I'll wait for the next walker, the next version of me. You want to argue, to say you'll find a way for both of you. But you've learned now. Some paths require stepping alone. You nod. Your hand hovers over the bowl. And in the final moment, she leans close, whispers, "Don't stop walking." You touch the surface. It ripples, folds, and everything disappears. The hum fades. The spiral uncoils. The forest breathes once more, and somewhere, beneath stars that remember too much, a wind stirs the leaves near a worn stone path. It carries with it the last echo of a name you no longer remember, whispered into the soil like a promise. You wake in a soft bed. Sunlight spills across unfamiliar walls. There are books, plants, a faint whir of a fan in the corner. You sit up. There's a map beside you, blank, except for one symbol in the center, a swirl, and below it, a handwritten note. You kept walking. You don't remember writing it, but your hand knows the curve of the pen. Outside, the world hums with life. Familiar, different. People laugh. Dogs bark. A street musician plays a slow, looping tune, just slightly off beat, like a spiral that never closes. You step outside, and as you do, a breeze brushes past your ear, soft, like a voice or a rhythm. You turn. No one's there. But in the corner of your eye, just for a moment, you see a figure, cloaked, still, waiting. You blink, and they're gone. But the rhythm remains, quiet, gentle, steady. Step, breath, listen, step. And as the day unfolds, soft and new, you find yourself walking again. Not because you're lost, but because you remember now that the journey was the map, that motion is memory, and that the forest never forgets its walkers.